How the heck are you, everybody? I'm Fastidious. Welcome back to my channel. So guys, for the Frost Fall Jamboree during our Christmas, during our December holiday events in Watcher of Realms, we are getting our next guaranteed legendary hero. So what is a guaranteed legendary hero? Well, essentially it is an exclusive only hero. It's only going to be available on this banner, that it has a 10x on the said champion, and once you hit a certain number of summons, 250 summons, if you had yet to get that hero, you are guaranteed to then get that. It's a guaranteed pity for a specific hero, just like we had with Captain Reeve, just like we had with Falcia, and now we are about to have with Gwendolyn. So it's a Frostfall summon. You can see it is beginning in 9 days time. So not this coming summoning weekend. This video is going to come out on a Wednesday, but the following weekend it will begin on that Friday, so a week from this Friday, and she's a pretty darn cool hero. However, she's a bit unique, perhaps a bit niche. We really have to break all of that down. As you guys can see, I'm live on the test server, so I'm going to give you guys an exclusive first look and a full hero breakdown on her kit, all her skills, her talents, and her awakenings. Maybe people are going to go crazy and go all in, get that guaranteed, and then get some dupes. Do you want to do that? And maybe most importantly to some of you, if you want to know my opinion, will I do that? Will I be going for this hero? Well, stay tuned right now. We are going to do a full hero spotlight, full kit breakdown. Let's get into Gwendolyn.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
Alrighty, my friends, so we are live here on the Fastidious test server. I'm coming at you from the behind the scenes so I can give you that exclusive first look. You can see this is the test server, Fastidious. Let's get over here into the gallery. So, the North Throne, that's the faction of the hour. Gwendolyn is going to be a healer, a support, a shielder hero for this faction. Let's click on her. Let's talk aesthetic very quickly. You can see she's a healer. She does magic damage. It kind of matters for one of her passives, but I do not envision we're going to use her much as a damage dealer unless you use her in one specific way I will touch on at the end of this video. However, she's really a healer, but as we know in this game, healer often just means support, and I will say she does have heals and they are solid, but the main thing in her kit is her shields. She's the ultimate shielder. So you thought the ultimate shielder was Vortex, it has now become Gwendolyn. So aesthetic, she is the Northern Star. I think very often in this game, when it comes to factions and theming, they are all over the place. However, Gwendolyn, being a Northerner, being our Christmas hero, could not be better. She really looks like an ice princess queen. She has this perfect December-y, wintry style, and I really love it. You know, they turned down the jiggle slightly, which I'm always happy to see, keeping it slightly PG, and she's gorgeous. I think this is one of the best hero designs in the game, and I don't think many people are going to disagree with that. She really looks regal, and that's kind of what you want. You know, if people are going to go in, I think a lot of people will go for hero collection on these guaranteed heroes because they're fully exclusive for the Pokédex effect and just as a collector. And this is a hero I think many people, at least aesthetically, would be excited to collect. So I'm into it. Great job, designer team. Gorgeous hero. So let's talk the actual kit, the reason we are all here. Then we'll move on to my final thoughts on if I think we should be going for this hero or not, because let's be frank, 250 summons, once you reach 250, if you've not gotten her, then you do get that guarantee. That is quite the expensive guarantee, perhaps in chance of real life dollars or euros or yen or whatever, or it could, at the very least, it will be a huge price in terms of in-game resources, whether that be your summons or, of course, your diamonds. So let's start with the talent. When allies are shielded of all types, so what they mean by all types is all classes and all factions, shields can absorb 10% extra damage. Damage absorption is just the strength of the shield, right? So it's a multiplicative effect. If it was, let's say the shield was worth 50k hit points for that hero, it's now going to be worth 55k, right? It's going to be a multiplicative effect, you know, that times 1.1, an extra 10%. When allies with HP below 50% are shielded by this hero, the shields can absorb 20% extra damage. So that same example, that 50k shield, I know it's a fairly juicy shield, but nice easy number, that 50k shield 20% of that is 10k, so now it's a 60k shield, right? What is interesting here is this first part, all when allies are shielded of all types, right? So any shield is placed. However, the 50% is shielded by this hero. So let's say you ran her with Vortex in a Northerner team, right? Or let's say she was running with a Northerner Lord, which certainly you will do. Their Lord skill can place shields. Those shields will not get that 20% boost. At least that's how this reads and what it appears to be for me. You'll be guaranteed that 10% boost, but you only get that 20% boost if she provided the shields. But as you're going to see as we get into the skills right now, she puts out a lot of shields. So the basic attack, and this is why I'm saying she's less of a healer, she's more of a shielder with some healing and some damage effects, but really she is an out and out healer. So I actually think the place I want to begin is to talk about Vortex. This is a hero many of us know, and actually they're very comparable. They're both Northerners. They both have what I like to call Vortex range. When you go to max level, this big juicy range, just like Vortex, just like Hollow, for example, she has the same thing. You can see Vortex has I want to talk about his base HP as well. He's got 8,700. This goes to just over 9,000 when you have got him at a certain awakening. I believe it's awaken level 2. Yeah, you get another 1,200. So actually just under 10,000. It'll be like the high 9,000s. Right? If you look at Vortex, the way he does his shielding, besides his ultimate, if we're just focusing on the basic, he does a single target heal to one ally in range. When you combine that with his passive, if that heal brings excess, so above, if it would have healed them for more than 100% of their hit points, then the excess is a shield, right? Then he also has some shielding on his ultimate, but this is the big way he heals. So he does his basic attacks, that he heals them to excess, and then you get a shield. Gwendolyn just straight up is granting an HP-based shield, right? This is a new thing for us to see. She's just going to be plopping it on one ally in range. And like I said, doesn't look like much, but when you bring her to max level, and you can see she gets that juicy Vortex range, and look at that. She's got nearly 3k more base HP. That's really significant, and that's lovely to see in an HP-based hero. Do I wish this was like 15k HP? Yes, but hey, it's better than nothing. So if we look here, instead of going out and spamming heals, she's going to be going out and spamming shields. So if you get her at a nice attack interval, that's what scales with the base. That's what scales with the basic attacker, in this case her basic shields. You can see she can be plopping out shields to everyone in range in her big juicy range all the time. You can see she's got a 4-second interval, a very unique interval. We don't see that very much in this game, but you could build her out for sure to like a 2.2 second interval, 2.3, or if you go crazy, maybe you could get her down to like 2 seconds. I think she is the kind of hero you're going to want with tremendous amounts of attack speed, because you want her spamming these shields everywhere and making sure everyone in range is shielded. She's got that big range, and many Northerners, as we'll discuss at the end, benefit immensely, especially with the Lord skills, but depending on which Lord you bring in, they benefit immensely from having shields on them, right? Let's just go straight into the ultimate now. Grants a shield to one ally in range. Again, these are only one ally shields, right? This can absorb damage equal to 60% of Gwendolyn's max HP, so you can build her with a ton of HP. You pretty comfortably should be able to build her with 40k HP, and of course better accounts will be able to juice that way higher. I think easily, like on my account, I could get her to 60k. That's going to be pretty darn significant. It's going to be a big investment when you're starting with fairly low max HP. I mean, it's strong, but it's nothing like what you deal with like a tank or a defender or like a big tanky fighter. But it's something, right? It's a much better starting point than like Vortex, who Vortex mine has like, you know, he's awakened, so it's like 9,500, 9,700 HP is what he has, and I can get him, if I went all out HP to like the high 40Ks, I usually run him at like 40 to 42K, right? So that's gonna be really nice. She's just gonna give that shield based off of 60%. It goes up to 80%. This is a very expensive skill, the Icy Shell, at 1,200. If you skill her up, it's gonna go down to 1,000. Each of the surrounding allies gains a shield with half the strength, and surrounding here is the squares around them. So when you have these bunched up formations, as is typical, you know, in more tanky defensive comps, maybe in these melee stages where you bunch everyone together, they will all get shields too. So it will have a decent AoE shielding effect, but the big juicy shield will only be applied to one person. You can see the shield strength will be affected by healing effect. That's the same thing we see over here with the HP based shield. The strength is gonna scale with her healing effect. So she is gonna, you know, the original thing, the shield will grow off of her max HP, at least for this one, and then you can further boost it. So you can see some crazy shields. I've talked with people from Forerunner, and she's able to put out some humongous shields, right? Makes for very tanky stuff. If we go here now to our passive Shield of Hope, when the shield for allies are gone, the targets will restore 5% of their max HP. This goes up to 10% if you're able to max skill it. So this is where her healing comes into play, right? So it's certainly something, right? You know, it's scaling off of the allies, the target's max HP, as opposed to this hero's max HP, right? So if it was scaling off of her max HP, 5% of her 60k, let's say, that could be like 3k. It's solid, but we're talking 5% of, like, let's say, you know, my Virna's max HP. Let's say we're running her at like pretty low, like 20, let's say 25k HP. Not too thrilling, right? That would be like that 5%. Let's do some quick math. It'd be like 1.25k. That's really not so wild of a heal. So it's fairly negligible. Especially, you know, it's going to help a ton maybe on your really tanky people. So this will be the max HP you'll build on your Brokir or your Olog will be a lot more than the HP she will have, most likely, right? However, for your less tanky people that might need the heal, they're not really going to get it. So I'm not blown away by the healing. You will be blown away by the shields. Finally, if we go to this passive, Frigid Flurry. When the shields for allies are gone, deals damage. So I said some magic damage would come into this. Deals damage equal to 10% of Gwendolyn's max HP. You can get this fairly high, up to 2 enemies around the ally, and inflicts freeze. And this freeze lasts for half a second. Not so juicy, but you know, it does have a nice synergy that I said I would talk about at the end, and I will. You can see you can get this damage up to 15%. I think the damage will be fairly negligible, and I'll just tell you right now, if you run her with Boreas, I think Boreas could be a very interesting combination to run with her. Obviously, I'll be putting out content with him. He's going to have a banner live, and this is something, actually, this is a great transition towards the end of the video. But he will have a banner live at the same weekend as her guaranteed event, and that'll be a really juicy banner. Boreas is a really cool hero. Oh my god, I can't find him. Where are you, buddy? He's going to be down here. There he is. You can see he's basically going to have this. Activates External Ice Haven. When allies inflict freeze on enemies, deals additional massive damage. So her getting those extra freezes will be really nice in him getting this crazy massive damage that he's able to run. You're going to be able to get these high damage freeze teams using Boreas, and it's going to be a pretty nasty combination. Him and Gwendolyn will work together very nicely. And that's probably where Gwendolyn's going to shine the most, finding these synergies with other heroes. Let's break down the awakenings, and then we'll talk about that. But I do just want to say, in general, I'm impressed by her shielding ability. I think you will be underwhelmed by her healing ability. But, you know, between the really nice range, and if you can get her going at a fairly quick clip, you know, I do wish she was at like a 3-second interval or like a 2.6-second interval, and you could really get her spamming out. But, you know, it kind of is what it is. It also is important when the shields for allies are gone, so you really need these shields to expire or break, and if the shields are as good as they could be, that might not be happening that much. You might not be getting that freeze, you might not be getting that bonus magic damage as well from her skill itself. Let's talk awakenings if you're considering wailing pretty hard for this. So if we go to awakening number 1, when Frigid Flurry is triggered, deals damage to 1 more target. Fairly underwhelming to me, and it is worth pointing out now that Frigid Flurry, as it stands, will only hit 2 enemies. So if you have something where, you know, it's exploding off of your Olog who's blocking 4 enemies, the way it stands now, it's only going to hit 2 enemies, right? This way now, at least it's going to hit, instead of half, it hits 3/4 in that example. I think this is pretty nice if you want to get some damage out of her, but I think it's kind of a throwaway awakening, at least how it reads to me. I'm not in love with it. Plus 1200 HP, that's pretty wild. So we can see now we're getting to some pretty nice HP levels. We're going to be getting to 13,784. I mean, that's a lot of HP for an HP based healer. You don't see that every day. Let's actually compare that to 𝐊𝐑𝐄𝐑𝐿. I'm quite interested. So 𝐊𝐑𝐄𝐑𝐿 would be the other legendary HP-based healer. And you can see way higher, right? Way higher. So super strong, is going to scale very well. And then I really think it's her Awaken 3 that's going to shine the most. All allies around the main target of Icy Shell also gain a full shield. So let's look back at Icy Shell. You got that huge shield, you know, it's up to 80% when you skill it up. Each of the surrounding allies gains a shield with half the strength. Now each of the surrounding allies are going to get just a straight up full shield, right? So there you're going to get that full 80% shield. That's great. That's really great. So you build her with 60k HP. I think that's gonna be very reasonable for a lot of people. 60k HP, everyone's getting that 48k shield, right? That's really nice. Awaken 4, another 1200. So now you're talking, you're basically hitting 16k HP. Quite nice. And then when Icy Shell is triggered, again, this is the ultimate, permanently increases max HP by 8%, stacking up to 3 times. So this is just crack and level if you're able to pull 6 copies of her, but I figure we might as well break her down. I think the most realistic one people will get is A1, and personally, I'm not blown away by it. I think the most exciting one is A3. That's gonna be pretty darn hard to get, and she's an exclusive only hero, right? So she's after this limited guaranteed banner, she's gonna be gone until they decide to reintroduce her, just like we saw with Reeve, Captain Reeve, and just like we saw with Falcia. So that breaks down our kit. I think she's a very interesting hero. I think shields are very OP in this game. I think she's got a ton of potential, but we are going to have to answer that big question. Should we go for her, and will I be going for her? So let me pop back out here and talk about her final synergies. So we really need to talk about the lords of this faction. So if we go here to King Hearts, let's just focus on the legendaries and Isolde. King Hearts, if we go to his lord skill over here, increases the basic 15%, and for Isolde it will be 10%. This is typical of legendaries and epics respectively. Periodically grants all faction allies a shield equal to 30% of their max HP, and other allies a shield equal to 15% of their max HP. And again, it's their max HP, not this hero's. Just want to clarify that. For 20 seconds, the more faction allies there are, the more frequently this effect will happen. And then here we go. The defense of shielded allies increases by 20%. Right? If we go to Elder, this is probably the people that just got Elder. Maybe they got Ardea, maybe they went in on the Falcia banner. Now you're getting excited because Elder has this amazing ability. The attack, everything else is the same as King Hearts, but here the attack of shielded faction allies increases by 20%. So instead of a defense boost, you're getting an attack boost. So you want allies shielded as much as possible. Gwendolyn is going to make sure that happens. Let's go straight to Falcia actually, so you can see she's got this great passive. Oh my God, where is it? When she's in her demon slaying stance, which is when her big damage is coming, increases damage by 30%. When she's shielded, it's going to be an extra 20%, right? So you really want your Falcia shielded permanently when she's in her demon slaying stance. You can get good shields on her as it is. Gwendolyn's going to kind of guarantee, if you plan it out right, that she'll always have those shields. Could be really, really nice. And then finally, let's look at Isolde. So this is where it drops off a bit, right? So she's got the exact same thing that you'd expect, with slightly lower here at the 20% kind of thing instead of the 30% and the 15% we were seeing before for faction allies and non-faction allies, but a similar thing, at least with her faction allies, to what we saw from King Hearts and Elder, but none of that bottom line. So no shielded boosts to her faction allies. She's still going to be really nice because shields are just very, they're going to synergize very well between her and Gwendolyn and the rest of your Northerners, but not as potent. So where does this land on should you go for her? The only way, I'm going to be perfectly blunt here, the only way I think for sure you should at least heavily consider going for her, the way you should, think about if you're a whale spending a little money, or if you're a free-to-play or low spender thinking about investing your in-game resources, would be if you're going for some proper damage team featuring like an Ardea or a Falcia, and then you've got Elder. Honestly, that's the only way where I'd be like, wow, Gwendolyn is a must-have for me. So let me use myself an example. I have Falcia, I have Ardea, I don't have Elder. So I hope one day I get him? Sure, but am I going to count on that? No. So in my assessment of should I go for Gwendolyn, I'm slightly less stoked because I don't have Elder. Let's be honest, King Hearts probably has the worst Lord skill, at least the worst last line Lord skill in the game in terms of the jump from Epic to Legendary. This defensive shielded faction allies increased by 20%. I do not care. Defense is super underpowered in this game. It's not like broke here, somebody's out here doing damage based on defense. So for me, the attack boost is what's so exciting. And then of course the synergy, oh here it is. The synergy with Falcia when she's shielded, that bonus damage. So if you have Elder and Falsia, or maybe you have Elder, Falsia, and Ardia, then I think, hey, well, first off, if you have all three of those, you probably are a spender, and this won't be that crazy for you to go for. But then I think you can think, hey, I think I'm going to go for Gwendolyn, and I wouldn't blame you. You also could think maybe not, and I wouldn't blame you for that either. If you're not in a situation like that at all, and you're just thinking, hey, do I want this hero? There are two reasons I would say you should go for it. If you want to push late game content and you want to do it in kind of a methodical, conservative way, shields are a great way to do it, and she puts out a ton of shields. She's going to be like super Vortex. She won't have the big juicy heals like Vortex, but her shields are going to be unmatched. She's going to be the best shielder in the game. This class type here, they should make a shielder class just for her, because her shields are tremendous. So if you want that, she's going to be a very strong support hero, without a doubt. If you like shields, no one will give them better than her. You won't regret having her on your team. I think you will be able to fit her in very nicely. The other reason to just for sure go for her, if you're not in that other situation and you're not a huge spender, would be you want the Pokédex filled in, you know? This is you, who knows, we might not get her again. We might not get her till next Christmas, you know? She's super wintry. This might be totally exclusive, so I might fall in that category. I do think she might have some nice use for me, especially in stuff that's going to come in Immortal Codex, but then certainly if they add harder levels to Nightmare Voidrift and stuff, I could definitely see her, like, imagine how well she would perform a juicy Gwendolyn build in Phase 1 against those the Aracha bosses, stuff like that. I think she's got a lot of potential there. So for me, I'm on the fence. I'm not blown away by her. She's not going to be account changing for me. I do love the design, and I do kind of want to catch them all. I regret to this day that I couldn't get Captain Reeve, and even though I barely use Falsia as it stands right now, I'm very happy I have her on my account. So I'm probably right in the middle, but I'll be honest, I'm leaning towards not going for her. I haven't made the formal decision, but I'm certainly leaning towards not going for her. And then I'd say if you don't care about the Pokédex, you're not obsessed with shielding, you're not trying to like think, oh, but maybe she's going to fit perfectly into this one piece of late or end game content, total pass. Honestly, it's not like with Falsia when I was like, hey, you're probably not going to want to miss this because she's so versatile, she's so unique. I still to this day think Falsia is super special. Gwendolyn, she is very niche, very, very cool, but for a normal player that doesn't care about the things that I've articulated, I just don't think it's so important. There's one more thing I did want to show over here. So let me just turn on my display mode, and that's how we will conclude it. So if we go here and you go on the Facebook, they also posted this on the other stuff. We're getting another banner. So you can see here we have the Frostfall Summon. This is going to be 12/22 to Christmas, 12/25. If we go here, that is going to directly coincide with this summoning event. You can see summoning event preview, the Prayers summons. So this is going to be a 2x by 10x. So a 2x on all legendary heroes. And then after you get your legendary heroes, there will be a post-fact 10x rate up on 3 heroes, and I think these are 3 heroes you're going to be very, very interested in. So these heroes are going to be Setrum. He's the only OG hero featured on this banner, and Setrum dupes are incredible. I'm going to go hard on this banner because I have Setrum, and I really, 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 really want A1 Setrum. We will also have 2 new heroes, Boreas, who I touched on, who's going to be really, really cool, and I would not mind picking up a copy. There's going to be definitely like kind of like a niche meta of running these super high damage freeze teams, taking advantage of his ultimate, and then Aurum, who's maybe the least exciting here, but is a legendary infernal tank. As it stands right now, the only infernal tank is Titus, and as someone who just 6-starred my Titus just because he's the only infernal tank and I needed him for faction trials, boy do I wish it was Aurum instead. He's so much cooler. He's putting out burn. He's a dwarf. I love the design on Aurum. This is a banner that I think for a lot of people, especially if you're into Setrum and you're into guild boss damage, is going to be a hard one to miss out on, and very, very, very few people are going to be able to go heavy into the Prayer Summons banner, even if you've been saving for Christmas, and get 250 summons on the Frostfall banner. I'll be honest, I might be one of those people. I have a ton of diamonds saved, but that's the perk of being a very prolific content creator. I put out a ton of content for the game, and I'm compensated with diamonds, but I think for a lot of people, it will be a decision, Frostfall Summon or Prayer Summon. I'm going to say gut check, not having known you personally and looked at your account, you should probably go for the Prayer Summon, honestly. So do I not like Gwendolyn? Not at all. I love her. I think love her. I really like her. I think she's really cool, and I think it's a gorgeous design. But can I in good faith say, go for this for 95% of players and don't go for the prayer summon? I cannot say that. So I might, if I'm basically gonna assess how many diamonds I have and say, can I go out on both and go for the 1+1 this coming weekend, the weekend that's coming in a couple days, in 2 days, that's going to be my personal assessment. But I think for a normal player, it's going to be a one or the other. And like I said, gut check, I'm going to tell you, go for those prayers summons. So guys, that is going to be Gwendolyn. I really hope this video was thorough and helpful. I really tried to make it as good as possible, like I always do with my content. So if you like my stuff, please consider liking the video, commenting. Let's have a discussion about Gwendolyn. I answer every single comment. Subscribe. Please subscribe. If you've made it this far in the video, I would really appreciate your subscription. Of course, share it with your mother. I've been Fastidious, and I'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.